All right, so I've just been trying to be unconditionally loving of the people in my life, allowing people to be who they are, right? Just as I would expect someone to respect that I act from the base of knowledge that I have and all the experiences that I have and the beliefs that I have, that I should be able to act that way and not have someone say that I were wrong. I mean, actually, they can say that all they want, really, especially if I'm being unconditionally loving, then I'm allowing them, by allowing them to critique me, I'm being loving of them because I see their experiences as totally valid and their perspective is totally valid and their decisions as totally legitimate. And I have no, I can choose to play a role in their life, but if they choose not to have me in their life, then that's something that I can love them for. Because they're this individual person. They're not me. Maybe they're a family member, maybe they're a random person I've never met, maybe they're a friend, whatever it is. The most unconditionally loving thing I can do is allow them to be who they are. That's what it means to have no conditions. I have no insistence that you act this way that I perceive as maybe the most beneficial for you. If you choose to act a different way, it doesn't matter. I love you the same amount, if not more, for the fact that you're willing to act as yourself and act from the perspective that you have. This kind of pursuit has given me a lot of peace, and I think many people could really benefit from realizing that everyone is very individual and people are connected in certain ways, but their perspective of anyone you meet is unique to them. So if you can't understand them, it doesn't mean that they're wrong. And if you're trying to practice unconditional love, you should love the fact that they have a different perspective than you and that they're acting in a way that you don't know as maybe the right way or the wrong way. There is no right or wrong. But in pursuit of this kind of idea, I've started to struggle in a few aspects. I've started to be like, well, when they do stuff that I can't understand, or that it's not my place to step in and change because it's their life and their perspective, and I respect them for having that kind of view, I start to get the feeling of, well, as much as I want to be unconditionally loving of this, it's hard to, and I don't feel it. Rather, I can say these pretty things, but to actually feel it and know it and understand it is a very different thing. However, one of the things that has been brought to my attention through this sort of practice of trying to be unconditionally loving of people is that the real shortcut to not judging others or judging what's going on in your life is to love life itself, to be unconditionally loving of life. You're like, okay, that sounds kind of broad. How are you going to do that? Whenever anything is presented to you, it's exactly as it should be, because it's presenting itself to you without any sort of filter. There's no mental tricks of, okay, well, I'm trying to explain my situation to you, so I'm trying to convince you and win you over to my side so you can understand me, whatever. If you could be unconditionally loving of whatever circumstance arises in your life, then everything's an adventure. And I'm not saying it has to be the most exciting thing ever. But if you accept it, you don't try to deny it, you don't say, well, here's my past and here's my possible future and here's the story I've been telling myself about this person or this circumstance or whatever, and I expect it to be this way. I insist that it be this way, otherwise I will be unhappy. You could just let all that go. You can let it go, but it takes practice. You have to start to understand that most of the story we tell ourselves is just that. It's a story. There is almost no objective perspective that we can carry on it because we have all of this history, all of this conditioning and stuff like that, which does exist. But I often find that people who view themselves as a victim propagate that sort of view from the past perspective, or even in anticipation of the future from the present. They say, well, this present moment isn't the right moment, so I can't go there yet, because they're insisting that this set of conditions must be met for them to pursue their dreams, or for them to forgive someone, or whatever. Man, just try to be unconditionally loving of the things that happen in your life. Recognize that every single thing that happens to you, both in the past, in the present, and in the future, like, it makes you who you are. It makes you who you are. You wouldn't have the perspective that you understand, the knowing that you have. You wouldn't have it without every single experience that's happened to you, and the order it happened to you, and when it happened to you, and just all these conditions that have happened to you now can be something you recognize and say, wow, that was actually made me into who I am, so I can love that. And when you practice trying to love unconditionally, it's not so easy at first, but when you try to love everything that happens to you, it starts to kind of transform your view of the world. You can have these like conversations where you and this other person aren't seeing eye to eye, or you just can't understand them. Like, you really can't understand them. You can still love them anyway, because you understand that just like you love your life, and you recognize that all of these conditions that you went through and all these experiences that you had that made you who you are the exact reason that you can't understand that other person, or that you can't understand this brand new situation that's arisen in your life, and you're like, how could this happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? It's just a chance for you to show that you can love your life even when it's not what you prefer. It's just so wild, bro. Like, we have so many insistences. We have so much insistence that life be this way or that way so that I can be happy. And it's really like, it's really just ridiculous. The pursuit of happiness. It is a pursuit until you realize that it's up to you. You literally just have to choose and say, well, I don't want to live a life where every single day I have to have these series of conditions to be happy. Like, I've been doing this thought experiment recently. When I find that something is frustrating me, I ask myself, okay, well, here's actually an example. I'm hanging out with my family on vacation, and a thought crossed my mind. I'm not saying I don't love my family. They're great. I really enjoy their company. But part of me was like, well, I can't wait until I live separate from them. Just so, like, I'll have it. It'll be a different sort of dynamic if I have to go and visit them rather than living with them. And then I realized that I had felt negative when I said that, and I was like, okay, so what if for the rest of my life, this is the thought experiment, when you encounter something negative, you say, okay, well, what if for the rest of my life I had to encounter this thing every single day? No choice. Because someone's reality, someone in all of existence has experienced the thing that you say you refuse to experience for the rest of your life because it would make you unhappy. So if you can say, okay, well, if I had to imagine that life where I did have that, am I really saying I couldn't find any happiness? Any? You're so insistent that this specific condition isn't there that you would make yourself miserable for the rest of your life. So, then I asked myself, and very, very quickly, as you do this thought experiment, you just kind of realize, like, wow, like, what a bogus condition I'm putting on my own happiness. And when you start to have that sort of mentality in your life, and you say, like, you start to have these experiences that you say you don't prefer, and you have them, and then, like, you start to be like, okay, well, if this is going to keep happening, I gotta at least find something within this that could make me happy. Baseline thing that can take any negative, baseline practice that can take any negative experience and make it positive is the acceptance of that experience as a valid experience, okay? The acceptance of a negative experience is positive, but the denial of a negative experience is negative. So you never feel good about trying to deny where you're at in your life, whatever conditions you have. You deny that, oh, well, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Whatever. You get what I'm saying. I just think that happiness is way more accessible than people initially think. And if you do a little bit of practicing of, okay, well, if that thought experiment I gave you, or whatever. I've talked too much. I've talked too fast. This has been wonderful. Thank you. I love you. Take care.